It's good to see you again, Mike.
Hey, Steve, thanks for having me.
I'm here with Mike Douthard of Douthard and Associates.
Correct.
Mike's been in the real estate business 27 plus years, and Mike has got the experience of the ups and downs of our real estate market. Which brings me here today to our next conversation that we had months ago in regards to our falling market, our economy, our real estate. And Mike, I know you've been putting a plan together to revitalize this. Let's talk about where our economy and our real estate was and where is it today.
Well, if you go back about 10 years, Steve, at the beginning of the last decade, there was a huge spike in real estate values from about 2001 up to about 2006. As much as 80% of value.
80%.
Yeah, it was
Wow.
huge. Which I guess for the people who sold in that period of time, they were quite happy. The problem is the people who bought in that period of time and the time since are now suffering tremendously because the reverse is happening. Okay, now we're going with the spike and now it's spiking right back down to probably 80% in some cases already in less than 4 years.
Well, would you say that 80% then is a good thing or
No,
a bad
that's
thing?
terrible because anybody who invested in those properties in that period of time have not only lost their original investment, down payments and what have you, but they've lost any chance of future equity whatsoever.
Now, Mike, I know that our founding fathers founded this country on real estate. And if I got my numbers right, over 200 years ago. And we have stand strong for a long time.
Yes.
And where we are today with this falling real estate market, with your plan, where can we go with that?
Well, you made a good point. You know, the United States of America was the first country in the world to offer private ownership of property. And it
Amen.
worked.
Amen.
I mean, we've got the heck of a country going
Oh,
on.
yeah.
You know, 235 years later, we're the greatest economy on the planet Earth.
Amen.
The problem is, however, that the current melees in the real estate market is a huge upset of the whole entire economy. Okay, and what I mean by that is that the real estate market, there's been estimates as it probably represents about 25% of our GDP.
Wow.
And what I mean by that is gross domestic product. And I don't mean just buying and selling houses. What I mean is all the supporting industries that also are involved in real estate. When you buy a home, it's not just buy the house, move in. You know, you're going to buy curtains and carpet and furniture
Right.
and all those other things that come with this. All of a sudden, people now, there's over 25 million households in the United States are upside down, Steve.
Wow.
They owe more than the property's worth. Now, no person in common sense is going to go out and buy a new dining room table for their house.
Right.
They're not going to fix their roof when it starts leaking. Okay, so the bottom line is what's causing this problem. Okay, well, it's bad enough that people suffer the foreclosure, but the lenders are taking these properties back now and creating a new phenomenon that's called short selling.
That was my next question, Mike. Where between foreclosure or short sale, which was worse?
Well, it's bad enough that someone lost their house. That's
Yeah.
terrible, and there's not a whole lot you can do about it. You either have a job or you don't. If you don't, you can't make the mortgage payment. The lender has every right in the world to take that property back, and they will. Okay. The problem is, Steve, the way they're disposing of these properties. Okay, it's coming down to the proper disposition of these REOs, which is called real estate owned.
That would be the short sale.
Exactly. And
Okay.
what they're being done is because they have millions and millions of these so-called toxic assets, they're literally blowing them out. Okay, they're saying get rid of them, we don't care. So the next thing you know, a realtor takes the listing. He or she has no recourse whatsoever to the value, to the proper carrying of the property. Grass is up to the windowsills, the house looks terrible. Investor comes in, what do they think?
Yeah.
They're going to just get this for the best price they can.
Well, you know-
And it's destroying the values of the houses around it.
And the neighborhood.
Oh, yeah, for years and years and years to come.
Well, I know, Mike, I just spoke with a friend the other day, and he doesn't have a problem with his job. He's making good money. His wife's making good money. But he's in a house that's, if I'm correct here, it's $150,000 upside down.
That's scary.
Now, this guy told me he's going to walk away. What is he talking about?
Yeah, we refer to that in our plan as strategic walkaways. When we first started this almost 3 years ago, about 28% of the market were strategic walkaways. These are people who still have their jobs. They can easily make the mortgage payment. Still got good credit. Everything's fine. They're just not going to continue to put money into a property that continues to go down in value. That's the bottom line.
Kind of like a bad business investment.
Yeah,
but
it really is.
isn't.
It is. And they say, you know what, I can go out and replace this property for 50 cents on the dollar as long as these lenders continue to sell them at 50 cents on the dollar. Why would I not walk away?
Meanwhile, the first house is just depreciating, falling apart.
Exactly.
And the neighborhood's falling
And
apart.
once they walk away, it's the same scenario over and over and over again.
Well, back to the plan, Mike. Now, the other thing that I read in this plan, which I have no experience in real estate at all, Mike, and you know that, but I read this and it took me a total of like 20 minutes. And I understood that not only is this going to help real estate, our economy, but it's going to help jobs.
Yes.
Where does the job creation come in?
You know, it's funny, when we first sat down to work on this, that wasn't even a consideration. We weren't concerned about it. We were concerned about stopping the housing market crash and start to get it back on its feet. Consider this for a moment, Steve. They're estimating as many as 8 million of these foreclosures may happen.
Oh.
There's 1.5 million out there as we speak. There's 3.5 million households behind at least 60 days. And if it does hit the 8 million mark, and frankly, if this doesn't stop, it'll probably be double that, in my estimation.
Yeah.
But what if you could take that lemon and turn it into lemonade?
Mm.
What I mean by that is, it's bad enough that we have this foreclosure. But what if we could put 5 or maybe 10 people to work on that property to revitalize it, to get it back into a common sense market and sell it at its full value?
And that sounds to me like that is where everybody benefits from this project.
Yeah,
This
absolutely.
isn't something, and I don't mean to talk bad about other real estate agents trying to do something out there, but it sounds like it's a plan that you're not thinking of just Mike Dufford.
Oh, no, not at all.
You're thinking of the nation.
I can't list 8 million properties.
Right, I know.
This is for the entire real estate market to take these properties back and sell them properly. I'm trying to create an alternative that these lenders do not have to sell short. And that's what we've done. It's called, the subtitle is an alternative to a short sale.
And at the same time, Mike, with that said, how many real estate agents would you say are all in our nation? All in
Well,
our
at the
total?
peak of the market, it was about 1,300,000. A lot have walked away, but let me tell you, there's a lot of us out there ready to go back to work. You know, we call it in the business selling for highest best. We represent our client, and we're supposed to get the highest best price.
Right.
Well, we're doing just the opposite.
Yeah,
Why?
Exactly.
Because our client is saying, get rid of it.
Right.
Well, what they don't realize is the fallout from that short sale is tremendous, and for years and years and years to come. And it's also perpetual, meaning the minute you do one, it's going to cause the next one. Once that happens, it's going to cause the next one, and on and on and on.
So what would be a time schedule on this to get the project up and going?
We're ready to go tomorrow. We're ready to go tomorrow.
What about funding? Do you have funding?
Yeah, we're going to need a little help to kickstart this thing. But at the end of the day, Steve, at the end of the day, this doesn't cost the American taxpayer a dime.
And see,
It's all
that's-
from the private market.
That's one part when I read in here, I was very intrigued with that.
Most
I think the
refreshing.
American people are going to love your
Most
project.
refreshing these days.
Now, as far as e-petitions, on this website,
Right.
ladies and gentlemen, there's an e-petition that you can sign on this. So your government officials, your senators, get a hold of them now. Tell them to call Mike. Mike's got all the information he can help out with. Is this the level you want to go to, where you need to be?
Yeah, we're going to need some of the influence of the federal government, that's for sure. Also, National Association of Realtors, I think, would highly want to embrace this. The American Banking Association as well, or the ABA, or we're also dealing with the MBA Mortgage Brokers Bankers Association, and 2 or 3 other agencies such as HUD, all of which we've contacted already.
Yeah, I was going to say, you told me that you've had some endorsements, some prominent people in
Yes,
the business field that.
as a matter of fact, when we first wrote this, my partner and I, we went to a very dear friend that I've known for 20 years, and he is a retired ex-banking executive,
Wow.
a very high step.
If anybody would know something
I
about it.
thought if anybody's going to take me out to the woodshed, Steve, it's this guy, right?
Yeah.
He loved it, absolutely loved it, and was our first endorser in writing. We've also got an endorsement from the legal community because we wanted to make sure everything was perfectly legal. And we have since got a 3rd endorsement from the largest real estate brokerage in the state of Florida.
Wow.
They're
And
very, very
I
creative.
think you said you do have a government official you've been speaking to.
Well, yes,
You
I've
probably
approached,
don't
I've
mention names.
approached my congressman here in the district I've lived in. We've also approached our senator. Unfortunately, not with very good results. I just don't have the numbers that I need as far as supporters just yet, and that's why we're doing this website.
But you did perk their interest though.
Yeah,
These guys.
it surprises me when you tell someone that you're sitting on hundreds of thousands of jobs possibly that, oh well, it's nice. You know.
Yeah.
But when you walk in and you got 10,000 voters that are signed on to your petition, now I think they may pay attention.
Yeah, that's the most key thing here is
Yeah.
the voters.
Yes.
We're in an election year right now
It's
to
approaching,
begin
right,
with.
right.
So with that approaching with this project, you honestly really feel and believe that this is something that can get us, I'm going to say the words kickstart.
Yeah.
Kickstart our real
Well,
estate
let's
market.
do the math, okay? Very simply, if real estate represents, or the housing market, but it's better said the housing market, because of all of its supporting businesses, if that represents 25% of our GDP, and we're simply letting it swirl the drain,
Yeah,
that there's no recovery in sight.
we're going.
We
on.
got to stop this. Now, it's bad enough to complain about the problem,
Right.
but we've actually done something about it, and it's right here. If even just the Bank of America, somebody give me a call and say, let's talk about this a little bit more, because it's everybody who's involved in these foreclosures, everybody wins at the end of the day. That's very important.
All the way from real estate agent to seller to buyer.
The bank that's involved,
bank.
they recovered most of their toxic asset, if not all of it. We even have a recapitalization concept.
Actually, our government benefits from this
There's
too.
no question, because now they can stop bailing out Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. They don't have to.
There you go.
The private sector is going to jump in and bail ourselves out. The difference is we have to use common sense in a market where it's not so common anymore.
Right.
Mhm.
Well, Mike, I'm totally excited. So those of you out there that are watching this video, look at the e-petition, sign on it. Seriously, go to your government officials, have them sign on that, have them call Mike. Is there any last words?
Well, the bottom
I know you have a website. We
yes,
want to get the website
yes,
out
it's
here.
www.housingmarketrecovery.org. Okay.
And that'll be on the webpage there too.
Right, and once you go on that page, there's a place where you can email me if you want to. I'm sure I can try to answer as many as I can.
Gotcha.
And if you gotta have a problem, it's a good one to have, that you got a lot of supporters. But even more importantly, Steve, we've created an e-petition there that we can get several thousand signatures. We're hoping for 10, 20, 30,000 signatures. Then I then can approach back to my congressman and say, hey, these people are voters.
Right.
Okay, they want this housing market resolved, and we've got the answer. Let's sit down and talk. Right now, I'm not getting that from these people. So that's why I'm going public with this and trying to get the American public behind us. You know, we don't need to waste our housing market. It's too important.
Well, it's this, Mike. I'm saddened to see the news every day, to see this awesome nation that once stood so tall and
That's
so
right.
strong, to just let it diminish down to nothing. And I'm excited. I want to shake your hand, Mike. Thank you and your company for putting something like this together.
Right.
So I'm looking forward to our next conversation when
Excellent.
this is going to be up and running
Absolutely.
and people are going to be getting their homes back.
Absolutely. We want the American dream back, Steve. We want it back, and this is the way to do it.
Amen. Thank you again,
Okay.
Mike.
Thank you.